Imagine that you're stuck in some twisted dystopian future.
Imagine? Where the hell have you been? We are in a hellish dystopia right now. We have this planet absolutely teeming with a terrible plague of creatures everywhere, causing the world to be a horrible, awful planet of humans. I'm talking about humans, obviously. And not because of all the wars and the hatred and the stupid shit that they do all the time, but the simple fact that some of them think that it's entirely appropriate to walk up to you when you're having a really shitty day, and it's clearly obvious from your expression that you're having a hard time. And then this brilliant, kind, wonderful, not at all nosy who should absolutely mind their goddamn business tells you something along the lines of, cheer up, it might not happen. Well, you, now it will, Earth go boom boom. An entirely reasonable reaction, I think you will all agree.
There are billions of lottery balls in massive silos, and your life depends on drawing just one specific ball.
That's not dystopian, that's fucking idiotic. There's so many easier ways to do that don't involve billions of tiny little balls. I mean, it's the future for one. Surely you have, I don't know, a computer, or you can have far fewer numbers extracted in a series just like the lottery, with just as much chance involved. Or if you're so desperate for it to be an individual thing on its own, at least do it like drawing numbers out of a hat, little piece of paper. It takes up so much less space than a bloody ping pong ball, at least at scale. Also, it depends on why exactly you're doing this. Is this some kind of population control? Is it just some random act of cruelty from a capricious rich fuck? Is it a game show? Is it all of the above? Again, that just sounds like something they would do today. No future hellscape required.
And if you don't pull the one ball you need, it's game over. And you couldn't just draw it once. You'd have to pull it at least 3 times in a row.
Well, then what's the point of the giant goddamn silos? Just increase the number of pulls and you decrease the odds. So freaking wasteful. Yeah, I know this is supposed to be an example of the idea, but it's just so inefficient. Anyway, what's this actually about? A top tier argument for God? Shit, he's going to be doing that thing again, isn't he? Go on then, let's see how you uniquely make this dumb fucking argument.
Now, if you actually drew the right one 3 times in a row, you wouldn't be sitting there thinking, wow, what luck. You'd probably be thinking, somehow, this lottery must have been rigged for me.
No, what makes you think I would think that? When things go right for me, I don't think, of course, the universe has my back. Yet again. Excellent. Honestly, I don't even think about it. I just get on with shit. And the thing is, basically every second of your life is exactly as unlikely, probably even more so, than the dumbass example that you give here, if you account for everything that could have possibly happened in your life alone. And that's not to mention all the previous people in your family line and the sheer unlikelihood of all of them doing whatever thing led them to ultimately making a you. It's why a big number, therefore God, doesn't really hold that much weight. Not that you're going to do that now, are you?
That is what fine-tuning is.
No, what fine-tuning is a really old, really stupid argument that apology boys find really convincing, even though it's been thoroughly refuted as an argument for any god whatsoever a zillion times, and completely destructimacated as an argument for your specific god, even more than that. But that is only because it's a bad argument which is dumb.
The universe feels rigged in our favor.
No, the universe feels rigged in your favor, probably because you have at least some strand of narcissistic thought going through your brain where, instead of realizing that your existence is as equally as likely or unlikely as a bunch of other completely unrelated shit, and none of those things happening makes you think, must be God did it, but the one that resulted in you must be special, because you are an incredibly unique and interesting snowflake. But sorry, bub, no you're not. No human is, and that is okay. Because I'm here being the most special princess of you all. You're welcome.
Because the odds of getting all the right conditions for a life-permitting universe by chance are absurdly small.
Oh no, big number, whatever will we do? Or is it small number? Well, it's a big small number. Anyway, except that we will, point out all the ways that the number is both extremely unlikely to actually can mean anything. I mean, what exactly are the variables that went into that nonsense? I bet you don't know. And that even if it was in any way accurate, that all it would mean is that this particular setup is kind of unlikely. Whoop-de-fucking-do. And of course that in no way you look at it does this prove Bible Man and the Legion of Dumb is the reason for anything anywhere.
It's way more plausible that someone set it up just right.
You literally cannot fucking know that. I mean, riddle me this, Batbrain. What's the likelihood of a god existing with any of the given attributes you might desire for him to have? I don't know, but I'll bet dollars to donuts it isn't a fucking one. And considering the number of different religious views of such a thing, that picking the right one is even less likely than that. Throw in the fact that there are a bunch of ways a universe could be the way it is now, but slightly different, or completely different ways that still allow for completely different kinds of life because it's life as we know it, not life in all of its possible permutations, including really fucking weird ones that don't even make sense, to you at least. And even shit like multiverse hypotheses, among other stuff that maybe nobody's even thought of yet, or that humans are just not capable of thinking with their limited little monkey brains, and the idea that your shit is just so much more likely starts to sound, well, even more freaking ridiculous.
Here are some of the most wild examples of fine-tuning.
Translation: here's some shit I don't understand or cannot explain, therefore God must have did it.
First of all, there's the gravitational constant. If gravity were even slightly stronger or weaker, by 1 part in 10 to the 40th power, stars wouldn't form properly, and without stars, there's no life.
Okay, cool, but again, missing a few things there. How do you know there isn't some other thing that could create the necessary elements for life? What if some completely different force can exist that works in a way that we simply cannot conceive of because, we haven't seen anything even like it? Also, there's a lot of things that constitute stars, and they are often very different from each other. Other forms, even ones we don't see because that's just how our stars form. At your whatever number, there's no reason to think that they couldn't also produce materials that could do a life. Also, what makes you think that changing one of the constants doesn't simply change them all? There's a reasonable chance that they are connected in some manner, meaning that the quote-unquote rules for how things like a star would happen would also change.
It's like having a billion dice and them all landing on 6.
And you are like a billion dice and having them all land on a smug dipshit. But don't get me wrong, it's not like mine wouldn't all land on a drunk, idiotic asshole, but still.
The cosmological constant. This governs the expansion of the universe. If it were just a fraction different, by 1 part in 10 to the 120th power, the universe would either collapse on itself or expand too rapidly for galaxies to form.
Well, first off, what makes you think that it isn't going to collapse on itself eventually? What goes up must come down, perhaps. What expands must eventually contract, like a puckered anus after a great big shite. Thank you, I am rather eloquent, aren't I? And second, okay, but again, that's just based on our current understanding. There could be other forces or elements in the universe that cause it to be such, or would change how expansion would interact with the material within it. And I'm not going to pretend I'm a big science brainer on all the concepts, but as I understand it, the idea of things like dark matter exist and have a powerful effect on the universe around it. And that is a thing that science guys are currently talking about, and is something we didn't know about until relatively recently. So as we come up with more ways to examine our universe, there could be more that would perhaps allow a universe to form within a much larger range of possibilities than we currently think it does.
Both scenarios equal no life.
Not really. The problem with a lot of these claims is they seem to assume that we have discovered everything, or close enough to everything, to make these kind of definitive statements about the universe, when that's just not really true. Science moves ever forward and sometimes changes everything about how we understand basically everything. The implication that that's never going to happen ever again is just more than a little bit naive.
The strong nuclear force. This holds the nuclei of atoms together. If it were just 2% stronger or weaker, no stable elements would exist.
Oh, come on. Your previous points were not exactly great, but you really went from, here's what sounds like a strong, get it, 'cause nuck, to really quite pathetic. A 1 in 11 billion range sounds super unlikely, but a 4% range? Literally 1 in 25. And I know that's not a proper comparison, but that's like super fucking likely in terms of odds. I would make that bet.
The electromagnetic force. If this force were even slightly off, atoms couldn't hold together, Forget about water, carbon, or any building blocks for life.
Off by what? And that raises another point. Ranges are still ranges. That means there are more than one way it can be. Lots more depending on the range, possibly infinitely more. Also, why does the universe need to exist in any of those ranges at all? I don't know if you know this, but if you're a Christ boy with the Crimsbian God, that means yours is a miracle man. You know what's not a miracle? When a thing that works within a defined range does that. Now, you show me a universe that functions in spite of those ranges, and suddenly you have a universe that sounds like it might be being run by a god of some description. Weird that, isn't it?
Now, there are plenty of other examples of fine-tuning, but I think you get the idea.
Yeah, they aren't particularly useful for proving gods, or even that the universe as it is somehow the only way a universe could be, seeing as there could be a bunch of ways that a universe could be organized that permits or even promotes life. The only thing that any of this proves is that this just happens to be one of them. Good job, I guess.
Now, to use another illustration, imagine that you're playing poker.
Poker? Damn you. Now I have to play 2 hours of Balatro. I mean, I could play it for 5 minutes just to get some footage. But, well, that's obviously impossible. You start a game of that, and no matter how long you think you've spent playing it, it is always exponentially longer. I only brought it up because it literally taught me how to play poker. So now I know what a straight flush is, and that it's a thing, and that it's more valuable than a full house, which is also a thing that I know what it is. Thank you, video games.
And someone pulls a royal flush. You'd probably be thinking, wow, that's a pretty lucky break.
Depends what jokers you have. Also, I might know what hands constitute what rank you have, essentially, but that doesn't mean I know what the odds are of me having enough people in the same house to play cards with. What, you think I have friends? Pfft.
But what if they hit a royal flush again and again, say a dozen times in a row? You're not thinking luck anymore. You're thinking the dealer and the player are definitely in cahoots.
Dealer and the player? I think that depends entirely on what kind of poker you're playing. Only kind I have ever played has the dealer also be a player, and it then changes each hand. So in your example, everyone would be cheating, which frankly sounds hilarious. A game of poker where everyone is cheating, everyone knows everyone is cheating, and you are all just trying to out-cheat each other with running commentary from the players explaining all their sneaky tactics. Not gonna lie, I would watch the shit out of that. Also, the Olympics, but everyone is on performance-enhancing drugs. Hell yeah.
This same deal goes with the universe. It's way more likely that someone rigged it, and that points straight to design, which sure sounds a lot like God.
Isn't this just the exact same thing that you started with? And it wasn't any smarter way back then in the good old days when I didn't know you were kind of a dumbass. I missed the before 4 times.
Now, a skeptic might say, sure, it seems unlikely.
Oh wow, awesome. Just use the old actually meme to represent people who think you're a dumbass. That's not fair. It's only me who looks like that when calling you a dumbass. Everyone else who thinks that about you is extremely attractive.
It seems unlikely that our universe would support life if it were the result of some random physical processes.
That's not what? That's not what you said. That's not what other people said. What are you talking about? The lack of a creator creating a universe does not mean that it's random. I mean, one of the other important arguments is that the universe is the way it is because that's kind of how it has to be. But that still doesn't imply that a god did it the same way that no one thinks that waves are the general wave shape because Wave Master is out there controlling the fucking ocean. Same way that the universe isn't the way it is because of randomness. It's because of systems that form around the forces that are in it. And we simply, at least at this point, just don't seem to know where they came from. But that doesn't mean you get to throw God did it in there.
But because we exist, we can't observe a universe that doesn't allow life. So really, the fact that we're here shows that it wasn't really all that improbable at all, even if it was just a cosmic accident. This is called the Anthropic objection, or as I like to call it, the objection that proves way too much.
Well, as I understand it, that is actually the weak anthropic principle, and I'll put the strong one on screen for your convenience. They are both rebuttals to the fine-tuning argument, but okay, cool. What is the problem with them? And I hope it's not, me am too smart to actually understand them, therefore God am real.
Here's why it falls apart. Imagine you're standing in front of a firing squad.
Imagine? Oh, but can I please just go there? Then I might not have to do this anymore. What? No, I do have to do this. You think this is some kind of choice? No. We live in a deterministic universe, baby. I couldn't stop doing this for all the whiskey in the universe. I mean, I would accept that whiskey. I just would continue making the video whilst being really, really drunk. Than usual.
You got a hunch that your cousin, who's in the squad, might have convinced everybody to miss. Shots are fired, and you're still standing. It's pretty clear that this wasn't luck. The fact that you survived is strong evidence that they intended to miss.
Really? I don't know what firing squads you have been in front of, but most of them have a pretty strong reason to go through with it, regardless of whether any of them are your cousin. That being that if they don't shoot the guy in front of them, and their superiors find out that they didn't shoot the guy, the next guy in front of the firing squad is going to be them. And all of the dumb assholes they convinced to not shoot their cousin, that they have no reason to give a shit about more than their own lives.
Now, the Anthropic objection would say, well, hold on, you can only observe this situation because you survived, so your survival wasn't improbable at all, even if they were trying to kill you. But obviously, this is sheer nonsense.
Yeah, it is sheer nonsense, because a bunch of dudes, fellow humans in fact, firing guns at another human is not the same thing as a universe that appears to have a particular set of rules. It's not arguing that a certain thing happened, it's arguing that what we can observe about the universe is inherently tied to the fact that we came from it. Essentially, it looks like the universe is designed because that's what we're capable of seeing and nothing beyond that.
If they kept firing and kept missing, it's not luck, it's evidence that something else is going on.
In what universe does the universe form multiple fucking times? That's a trick question because the universe doesn't form in itself. It forms in my cavernous arsehole. It's a bit like your one, where you get your arguments from.
Wait, before you go, I have something super important to tell you. It's life or death. It will change everything forever. Nope, wait, it's gone. Oh well, probably wasn't important. But while I have you, don't forget to comment, subscribe and notify. And if you want more of my smexy voice, check out Mrs. Six's channel, Spoonstaff Stories, where I narrate and voice all the videos, and she does the work. And if you want to support the channel, check out the merch store for cool t-shirts, or check out Patreon, memberships and PayPal to support directly. Finally, follow me on the medias of social to get completely pointless guff and to keep up on the latest releases. Oh, I just remembered what I was going to tell you. Whatever you do, don't touch the